Okay, so while this is further along than the last time you saw it, it needs a lot of work yet. I'm not quite ready to be at the step that I'm demonstrating for you, but the step that I'm demonstrating for you can really be integrated at any time. But I would wait to accent and halo until I felt better about the textures in here, and I felt better about this whole area right here. Really not happy with the colors or the texture there. If you look at the photo, it's like way more intense, like color-wise, than it should be. So I have a lot of work that I would prefer to do before this demo, but unfortunately to get it out for you in time, I just need to kind of put it off for a minute. So, all right, so accenting and haloing. Okay, so let's talk about haloing first. So haloing is like these white areas that creep in around forms. Like you have done everything, but then when you look at it, there's like these little like areas of white like between like forms. So like between the stone wall and the grass up here, there's like a white halo between this little hill over here and kind of the grass that's like more level behind it. There's this white halo. And so they just kind of creep in because you haven't worked right up against the form as you're putting things in with the textures. And so you just need to go back in and just tidy them up. And so you just have to look at your photo and kind of figure out, well, what's the best way to do that? And so using the pastel kind of on its tip and kind of going and like filling those areas in to start with a color. And then you need to kind of blend it into the texture that's, you know, above or below it, or to the left or the right of it. So it does take some time. It's an important step to do because it makes your craftsmanship so much better. Otherwise, your piece just feels very unfinished. So it does happen with, I find that it happens a lot more with soft pastel than some other mediums that I've worked in. But it's, you know, it's just something that you kind of need to go back through with a fine tooth comb at the end and kind of just like fill in your gaps. So like here, this area, I'll probably just kind of take, you know, like I said, I'm not like happy with this road right now, but maybe I'll just take this color and just kind of stretch the road over there. You know, look at your photo and kind of make the best choice of what you should do in each of these areas. Okay. And so it could mean just like kind of blending things past a little bit. But again, it's something that you're gonna have to kind of go in and fix up and tidy up. So, you know, go around and just kind of look from like one form to the next, and just kind of figure out like, okay, well, I need to fill in that white gap. What's the best way to do that? And just make sure that like after you fill it in, you make sure that the texture makes sense too, that anything that you fill in gets blended in and makes sense for like what you have there. Okay, so that's how you fix haloing. Accenting is going to be basically just looking to see if there's any forms that are like blending together, creating some more contrast before them. So sometimes I will squint my eyes to look for places that I'm like, yeah, like I can't see, you know, that the difference between those rocks and that grass, or I can't see the difference between like that wall and the sky or something like that. And so it can be helpful to go in to kind of squint your eyes and then kind of look for areas. So the wall back here and the grass, while they're not the same texture, they're kind of the same value. And I do feel like I kind of need like a darker shadow kind of at the base of the wall to kind of like separate them a bit. And so I'm going to put that in and just kind of take that line and kind of break it, you know, where there's grass that's kind of like growing in front of the wall. I don't want to like put the line kind of over the wall, but just kind of put like, you know, I'm not outlining as much as I'm like creating a shadow and just kind of accenting some parts of the bottom of that wall. And I can take the shadow into the wall a little bit too to harmonize it, to make it feel separate. Okay, I do have a little bit of haloing here, so I'm going to fill that in with kind of this green and kind of blend that green in. Need to go back into this area too and kind of color match it a little bit better. Okay, and so now it kind of like sits back a little bit more because I like accented that edge. So over here, I've got dark and then kind of a light area there. So there's kind of some nice contrast there. The wall is blending in here to this area, this hill on the top of it. And so I think I actually just need to kind of go back into that wall a bit and just kind of darken the little individual stones that we can kind of see in the distance there, and just kind of like make them pop against that hill a little bit. Accenting isn't as big of a deal in the background as it is in the middle ground and the foreground, because in the background your details are going to get softer too, but this is kind of like a focal point area back here because of this leading roadway. So I do want to make sure that I like tidy up things that don't make sense. And so this wall is like very much in shadow on the sides of it, and then there are some kind of rocks on the top of the wall that are lighter. And so I'm going to take my white and just kind of go and just kind of plunk some like lighter rocks on the top of that wall, because that's where like the sun is hitting it. And so that kind of creates like definition between the two forms. Now it's almost a little too white, so I might have to kind of go back in and kind of smudge it a little bit. But having the top of the rocks on that wall show that the sun is hitting them is also good. That's happening down here too on this wall. Okay, and it's just the angle that the sun is hitting everything at when I look at the photo. So yeah, so you want to make sure that forms aren't blending together. While it can blend together a little bit and like edges can be soft because it is Impressionism, you want to make sure that it's not blending so much that you can't tell what's what in your piece. And then you want to make sure that you take care of the haloing, which I have quite a bit of, and I have a lot of work to do, but you just want to go in and make sure that you kind of like tidy up edges between forms and just make sure that there isn't any kind of white gaps in between the forms.